SimplePlanes 2 Never Limits Part 3 Sam's Green Dorian 12 hours ago. Hello again, it's blog post time again, this time with yet another set of map-related stuff to show off. We got vehicles, a new island, and more. So let's get started.
In SimplePlanes 2, there are a number of vehicles that spawn around the map, ranging from cars to airplanes, boats, and even the occasional blimp or hot air balloon. They all spawn in predefined areas that we're able to set, and each has a randomized color palette. In order to maintain a balance of quality and performance, among other reasons, these vehicles are their own handmade 3D models rather than crafts made in the game, and achieving something with the scope we wanted is a large undertaking, so we called in reinforcements. Enter Emmanuel Lanouille, or simply Emma is a 3D artist who's been making many of these vehicles for us, having previously made a number of structures for a little-known game called Microsoft Flight Simulator. Everything she's made for SP2 is built to look pretty without feeling stylistically out of place with the rest of the game, serving as nice little set pieces to make the world of SP2 feel less lonely. Emma has some words of her own to share in regards to the creative process here, so I'm gonna let her take over now. I was asked to make several vehicles to populate the airport, including a blimp, hot air balloon, a yacht, golf cart, planes, and a helicopter. This was a fun task as I got to use some of the skills and techniques I had learned working on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, where I was taught very handy hard surface modeling techniques that give a really nice result. I am very proud of the vehicles I have made for SimplePlanes 2 and hope they enhance the overall game. The vehicle modeling process is always the same for me. First, I need to create a bounding box that is the length, width, and height of the vehicle I am making. Then I set up some blueprints of that vehicle, which I download off the internet. Next, I will start with primary shapes, a box or cylinder or plane, which I can form and add lines to, and slowly build up the final shape with the least amount of lines possible. Once the silhouette is correct, I can start adding details like windows and doors and some panels, which I cut into the surface. And finally, I add the small parts like door handles, aerials, and lights. The main difficulty was trying to keep the poly count as low as possible, while also making sure all the curved surfaces were curved enough. Once the vehicle is modeled, I lay out the UVs to be able to texture it. I made the textures fairly simple to match the style of the vehicles players make in the game. Also, the materials are made to be able to change the color of the vehicles in-game for more variety. The last step is to create LODs. From the vehicle I modeled and textured, I make a version with a reduced amount of polygon that will be displayed in the game. It's a classic optimization method that is very efficient to make the game run faster. Located just off the east coast of Atista Island, there's a whole other island we haven't talked about yet called Driftwood Island. Driftwood Island. Driftwood is a bit different from the other three islands. It's a small, eccentric private island that's densely packed with fun play spaces, with its main attraction being Kunimitsu Airport, named after Kunimitsu Takahashi, a legendary Japanese racing driver who popularly lives the way of drifting in a car. Kunimitsu Airport is a private airport set on the southern end of Driftwood Island, built to be a hot spot for all sorts of high-profile racing events, both on and off the ground. Kunimitsu is another collaboration with Emma that we're very proud of. So once again, I'll let her speak for herself. Due to my previous experience as an environment and props artist working on Flight Simulator 2020, creating airports, monuments, and vehicles, I was hired by Chandru to work on SimplePlanes taxiways, control tower, ATC, fire station, terminal hangar, radar antenna, and fuel station. It was a fun task to do as I got to express creativity with the designs while keeping them functional and fun to play. We wanted a classy feel inspired by luxury hotels and pride, also private airports while keeping with the mood of the game. From the block out and a brief provided by the team, I modeled a terminal building with organic shapes and a glass ceiling inspired by modern architecture. The team wanted the airport to be able to receive a lot of different vehicles from air, ground, and water, so we designed it with helipads on the roof, a big hangar at the front where small planes can come from the runways, floating piers at the back to park boats, and an underground parking for cars. I hope it's fun to play around on. The ATC is a fairly classic design, but since the terminal building is quite tall, the ATC needed to be tall as well. This became a problem as it felt out of place next to the terminal. To solve that problem, plus balance that design more, we ended up lowering the roof of the terminal and adding a raised control tower on the lower section of the ATC. Yes, I forgot to mention, before we have a racetrack at the airport, I designed the main hangars next to the terminal building with a hooked roof. They liked the idea and pushed it further. Why not be able to find the area? Following an idea, I modified the shapes around the roof. Starts from the ground, and like players can try. I adjusted the model several times so they work nicely together in harmony. Curate amicably, woven into Kunamitsu Airport is a full-fledged racetrack, lovingly crafted by another country. We brought on to help us create SB2's environments. The Driftwood Circuit and most of its surroundings, besides the airport, is made by Henry Deng, who many of you may know better as D's Ducks, a prominent member of the SimplePlanes community and a moderator on our website. Collaborating with him has been a treat, and it's resulted in one of my favorite areas in the game. As with endless contributions, Henry is much more suited to talk about this than me, so I'll leave the rest of the explanation to him. Most of you may already know me, some of you may not. I've recently had the opportunity to help out with environmental assets and related art for SP2 of the items I've worked on so far. The most recent, and by far the largest, is Driftwood Circuit connected to and carving through Kunamitsu's airport layout. Driftwood Circuit represents a huge leap in fidelity for racetracks over SP1, while the layout of the circuit was already made. The full layout of which I'll leave a secret, but will look familiar to those who notice. I worked on the trackside buildings, barriers, and details. Something that I wanted to improve on from SP1's tracks was the immersion and sense of scale, alongside the improved fitment of the track with the terrain. The inclusion of new runoffs and barriers will make racing between friends much more forgiving. Sometimes not, and fun. The circuit is separated into 4 distinct sectors, each with a unique feel. I looked at a wide variety of real-life tracks and modeled certain aspects after them as an homage to legendary racetracks. And to try and show respect to our motorsports enthusiasts, the last sector includes a number of alternate routes, allowing for multiple combinations and lengths of layouts. These, combined with the new activities, will give everybody a ton of things to do in lots of different cars, from formula racers to drift cars or stadium trucks. In the future, Driftwood Circuit won't be the only track to populate the island, and hopefully they'll live up to the hype. I'll be back a few more times this week to talk about some of the other things I've been working on. Among the contributions Henry has made to the world of SP2, besides Driftwood Circuit, are various bridges around the map, ranging from a grand suspension bridge connecting 2 islands together to a small bridge on a tube. There are quite a few bridges scattered across the islands. If you happen to be a bridge enthusiast, I'm sure you'll have fun, or maybe you just want to blow them up. Nobody's gonna stop you. As with last time, I will be acting as a bridge for Henry to talk about some of this stuff himself. Here's what he has to say. Acting as the gateway into New York from Middleton, the suspension bridge helped form the mainland corridor between the island chain's 2 major cities. Following the stylistic direction we wanted, I looked to combine some more classic North American examples with some from East. Asia, particularly from Guizhou province in China, to create a more unique design. A number of factors relating to player interactions were considered. The bridge incorporates an array of decorative lights and functional anti-collision beacons, helping it stand out at night due to the nature of the terrain on both sides of the water. I had to give the deck of the bridge a rather aggressive arch so that there was enough clearance for most types of military and commercial vessels. If your ship just won't fit, fear not. The entire main structure is able to be fractured, so you can just blast your way through the rest of the island. Have multiple smaller bridges dotted across the landscape, but this one is the standout feature in comparison. Scattered across the SimplePlanes archipelago are various little points of interest that add some much needed atmosphere. These two are made by Henry. Here's what he has to say. Of different toys stop the landscape of SP2. These are meant to provide players with options that encourage them to explore the more remote corners of the map. 3 different types of toys currently exist: lighthouses, firewatch, lookouts, and stun ramps. Each type has 2 variations, and more unique toys are planned for the future. A number of lighthouses guard the islets and dangerous coasts across the islands. They function with working beacon lights that cast out into the darkness. The tower is both a tall but dressed version and a shorter, stout one. This variety combined with auxiliary support buildings helps give each location a unique feel. The Firewatch towers come in a tall, stilted version and a short stone-based one often placed far into the forest. These towers provide great opportunities to kick your feet up and enjoy the landscape. Lastly, players can find a number of stunt jumps dotting the landscape. The Call of the Void manifest then coming in a rickety wooden and more sturdy steel version. These will help players get maximum air before gravity inevitably takes over. More unique toys are planned as the game progresses, but we'll keep them a secret for now. If you like what you're seeing, please consider wishlisting SimplePlanes 2 on Steam. If you'd like to see bits of these vlogs early, consider joining our Discord server.